Very last free response practice problem. This is a long problem. It's question number 1 from 2007, Form B. So assume that Australia and New Zealand are trading partners and Australia's economy is in a recession. Okay. Now assume that Australia begins to recover. Using a correctly labeled graph of the aggregate demand and aggregate supply for New Zealand, show the impact of Australia's rising income on each of the following: AD in New Zealand and output in New Zealand. And we have to actually explain this, so that's an important one. And then there's other parts of this question that we'll get to towards the end. So the first part, part A, we need a graph. And which country is that? This a correct of New Zealand. So we're just going to say New Zealand up here, just so we don't forget, because it is a little. We're trying to remember who's who. So AD, and then we've got SRAS. And we don't actually know whether New Zealand is in a recession or in an expansion. We know Australia was in a recession, but it doesn't actually tell us whether New Zealand was or not. So let's just go ahead and say New Zealand was fine. We'll just say New Zealand was fine. They were at YF and PL1. And I think actually with this problem, if you didn't include LRAS, you were fine. That was back 2007, 13 years ago now. Nowadays, they usually explicitly say include a long-run aggregate supply curve. So now it says if basically Australia begins to recover from its recession, show the impact of their rising income on aggregate demand in New Zealand. Well, if they're trading partners, which it says they are, and Australia is getting more and more income, then they're going to buy more of New Zealand's stuff, right? New Zealand's stuff. So we'd say, part 1, if Australians increase income, we would say, therefore, then New Zealand net exports will rise because they're going to sell more things to the Australians now. So we would say, because their net exports go up, their aggregate demand goes up. So AD to the right, and output in New Zealand goes up. And that's output in New Zealand, so we took care of that, and we took care of the explanation. Using a correctly labeled graph of the money market for New Zealand, show the effect of the output change in part A2 on the following: demand for money, nominal interest rate. Okay. Part B, so we need a money market. So money, the Fed sets that, so we're going to say QM. I'll just move that up here. We need a money market. So the Fed sets that money supply, but we have a downward sloping demand for money. And it said in the top portion of this problem that the effect of the output change in A2, well, the output change in A2 was right here. And New Zealand has more output, more national income. So if they have more national income, and it says B1, demand for money explained. So it's actually kind of keying us in. Look at the demand for money. What's going to happen there, and then explain that. If New Zealand's Y, their output, rises, then they increase the transactions demand, because you need more money to finance the transactions. So you therefore increase the demand for money. We have a D sub 1, shifts to the right, and so we've taken care of demand for money, and we explained it. Nominal interest rate. All right, let's show that on the graph. Yep, that's here, to dot, and I sub 1 to I sub 2. So the interest rate goes up. Then it says, assume the price level in New Zealand rises. Okay, and it probably should, given this picture, PL2, it should go up, right? It should be. Then it says, given your answer in B2, explain what will happen to real interest rates. So our answer in B2 was that nominal interest rates went up, right? This is B2. So we'll say C if the nominal rate increased and the price level increased at the same amount in same proportion, I can't spell, proportion. Spelling's not my strong point here. Then the real interest rate could stay the same. But now we know that, like, if one of them changed more than the other, like if the interest rate went up more than the price levels went up, then the real interest rate got larger. If the price levels went up more than the interest rate went up, then the real interest rate got smaller. So it kind of depends, but we can say that if they did go up in the same proportion, then the interest rate real stays the same. D, although recovering, Australia remains in recession and its government takes no action. All right, fine, Australia, don't. Indicate whether each of the following curves will shift left, shift right, or remain unchanged in the long run. Aggregates by aggregate demand. So this is asking, it's testing your knowledge of stuff from Unit 7. This is Unit 7, and it's the self-correction of the economy out of a recession. And so what we would say, and so we're just going to kind of separate that here and say D, if Australia is in a recession. And now this is an explanation. This question doesn't even ask us, I don't think, for actually that. But therefore, eventually, right, in the long run, we would say wages and input costs will go down because people will say, all right, fine, I'll work for less. And if they do, if that's true, then, or therefore, I hate words. Just use symbols. There you go. Therefore, SRAS will increase. Right? So that's actually the answer to here, aggregate supply. And that increase is shift to the right. Shift right. No change to aggregate demand. Because if the government doesn't do anything, then aggregate demand isn't going to change from where it was, but SRAS would shift to the right and correct the economy. So a quick little picture off to the side here to see what's going on here. This would be this case. You have SRAS and you have AD, and you're in a recession, right? YF is here and Y1 is here, and eventually SRAS will go all the way back to equilibrium. So you were here and it goes to here as these input prices fall. Okay, so hopefully this helps you with this long problem, and it was a long problem. It's designed to take half an hour actually, so I only cut you 20 minutes there, but hopefully that helps you a little bit. I'll see you next time.